present because it was so blatant.
Right.
But again, they came back in the game, and here came Matt Stafford, and all of a sudden they pulled it out. They came all the way back to win 34-30.
Right.
Okay, so he was tremendous that day.
Yes.
He was even better in 2013 in Detroit when he threw Calvin Johnson.
He almost broke the record.
329 yards worth of footballs.
Yeah.
329? Can Shannon Sharp even fathom catching 329 in a game?
That's too good. That's 2 games for any receiver.
Any receiver, it's 2 games, and Flipper Anderson still has the record at 336, which I still find staggering. But
I think that was a Sunday night game against the Saints.
It was unbelievable. Okay, so my eye test told me in those 2 games,
Right.
Matt Stafford was all world.
Right.
But he only made 1 Pro Bowl.
Right.
And the harder I look at his resume, this is the God's truth. I looked at this harder and harder last night, and I said, seriously, is he better than Jared Goff? Because I don't think he is.
Oh, yeah, he better than Jared Goff.
Okay, well, look at what Jared Goff did. Look at his resume versus Matt Stafford's resume, albeit dysfunctional Detroit. We know Barry Sanders quit and walked away on Detroit.
Megatron
He
quit and walked away.
Okay, I got it. But Matt Stafford was not able to rise above that franchise and lift them into contention. He never did that. Jared Goff, think of the great game. I'm not, and I'll toss that word around loosely. He played some great games. It started back in 2017 against my Cowboys at Dallas. Do you remember that game?
Oh, yeah, when they came
won
from
35-30, and he was sensational in that game. I mean, he looked like Matt Stafford, according to Bruce Arians, in that game. And then how about the game on Monday Night Football that we talked about for 2 weeks on this show?
With Mahomes?
He outdueled Patrick Mahomes 54-51. He threw for 413 and 4 touchdowns in that game on November 19th of 2018. Does that count?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, was that great? And then how about what he did at the end of that season against my Cowboys at the Coliseum? It was 30-22. He didn't have a big passing day, but do you remember 3rd and 7 at the 28 with 2 minutes left, and they are in trouble because Dak's coming back? Dak had heated back up, and all of a sudden he runs the bootleg that Sean McVay, it's the staple of his offense, and he bootlegs and he bootlegs and he keeps booting and he just keeps running and ran 11 yards for the first down.
Skip, I think the biggest difference between Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff is that basically you have to diagram the perfect play for Jared Goff in order for it to be successful. And that's not the case for Matthew Stafford. You can get off script. See, if I just need Stafford to make a play, buy time and make a play, he can do that. And Sean McVay was not so sure after seeing what he saw, mistake after mistake. And it's the same mistakes. That's what irritate coaches, Skip. It's the same mistake. Jared, take care of the ball. Jared, don't turn it over here.
That same team led by Jared Goff went to New Orleans for the NFC Championship game, and there was an obviously outrageously controversial call at the end of regulation?
Yes.
Yes, but it goes overtime, and Jared Goff outdueled Drew Brees at Drew Brees in that game to get them to the Super Bowl. His QBR was 68, Drew's was 55 in that game.
But Skip,
I'm just saying he did that.
But you and I had talked about the last couple of playoff games. Drew had not been what the Drew early on in New Orleans.
I got it. Okay, I got it. You're right.
But here's the thing, Skip. At some point in time, Sean McVay, you could tell Sean McVay was growing frustrated with Jared Goff.
Where he hit bottom was in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady. And Brady wasn't much better than Jared Goff, but he had one drive in the middle of the fourth quarter that won the football game. And Jared Goff stunk the whole way. And it's possible that Sean McVay stunk the whole way, Because he took a lot of the blame after the game.
Well, he has to understand the game and not take the risk, because once Coach Belichick determines how the game is going to be played, he accordingly. Well, that's not what Sean McVay did. And Sean McVay learned a valuable lesson that, okay, this game is going to be played like this. I got to alter my game plan. But that kid, number 9, and I call him a kid because he's significantly younger than I am, Skip, he's special now. And I don't believe, with the exception of Jim Caldwell, that he had the best head coach and the best coaching in Detroit.
All right, you could argue that. But I'm going to finish on Jared Goff. He at least got them to the Super Bowl.
Yes, he did.
And then last year, he led them up to Seattle. They went 10-6 during the regular season, and they beat Seattle at Seattle. He didn't put up big numbers in that game, but he was the winning quarterback in that game. Okay, so I'm still, my jury is way out on whether Matt Stafford has better intangibles, big game intangibles than Jared Goff did, because every time it was a big game, he played pretty to very well. Maybe over the long haul, he's not good enough in Sean McVay's mind to go win the Super Bowl, right?
I tell you what you're about to find out.
Okay.
How good his intangibles are and whether or not he can win
well,
the
guess
big game.
what? This is very arguably the biggest game of Matt Stafford's career, because he's never going to have felt the kind of focus and spotlight and pressure. This is it. This is a preview, very potentially, of the NFC Championship game. This is very possible a Super Bowl predictor, as in win the Super Bowl, because whoever wins this game could be in the catbird seat to go right on and win the Super Bowl. Am I right about that?
I agree.
And I will say this. I'm going to give you credit for this. Tom Brady, in his remarks yesterday about this game, was as effusive as I have ever heard him about an opponent. And I don't think it was just pregame hocus pocus. I don't think he was trying to set up the Rams for the kill here. I think he knows that this defense is his kryptonite because they did a number on him. He barely threw for 216 in the game on Monday night back at Tampa. And he had a long, hard night. And obviously, it was a little different personnel, still Aaron Donald, and a different coordinator, Wade Phillips, in the Super Bowl. But Tom had a long, hard afternoon in that game, didn't he?
Yes.
Okay. So he went off yesterday about this is as challenging as it's getting for him, as ever been for him, because they do such a good job of disguising coverages, but they also have a great pass rush. So he says you really can't pick up on anything pre-snap because they're holding disguises, and at the same time, they have a pass rush that gets home really quickly. Okay, and then he compliments all the DBs because they disguise, but they keep eye on quarterback so they can break on the ball quicker than other units that he's up against. So he raved about them, and you can say you always discount everything Brady says like it's all calculated or just completely sanitized for the sake of building up to the game.
Well, I think the thing is he feels very comfortable with the unit that he's taking in there, but he understands what the Rams, anytime you have an Aaron Donald, who's a top 5 player in football. You have a Jalen Ramsey, in many regards, the best defensive back, who can take away your best receiver, and now we can zone it off everywhere else, and he can take your best guy and take him man. They have pieces, Skip, that can cause problems, and they have an offense that can score points. Because, Skip, the likelihood of you winning a 14-10 game or a 17-14 ball game against this team is not very good. So you're going to have a quarterback that can go match. If you look at Brady in the Super Bowl game, Skip, you look at the last Super Bowl he lost, Nick Foles basically matched him throw for throw. And that's what Eli,
I mean, whose fault was that? Belichick.
But I'm just saying, Skip, you have to match him.
But Malcolm Butler was on the bench.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, inexplicably, unaccountably on the bench the whole game. It's a little sabotage. Go ahead.
You keep saying sabotage you. But you're going to have to score points, and you're going to have to steal. You're going to have to get a possession. Tom Brady, normally when you beat him, you steal a possession from him just like you do Patrick Mahomes. Okay.
So your score is what?
I got 32. I got 33-32 Rams.
By 1 point?
Yeah.
After all that you just spewed all over the table?
Hold on. You talk about
I'm about to see the real Matt Stafford rise and shine.
Hold on.
33-32.
Hold on. This is the reigning Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
A guy that you said is going to throw for 50 touchdowns, going to win the MVP this year, and going to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
No AB, no JPP. Those are both huge. You said AB's not that big a loss. I completely disagree. I think you agree that JPP is a huge loss.
Yes. I believe he's a bigger loss than what the Cowboys had last week going into the game.
Okay, I'll buy that.
But that's still, hold on. The one guy you don't bet against, if he's that, he should be able to cover all that up. He's got to be deodorant.
He's 44 years old.
Coming
off MCL surgery. And he's already back. A lot of guys would be waiting until mid-season.
What does Pro Football Focus say? What does FedEx say? FedEx been mailing him awards the last 2 weeks. So what's the problem?
No problem.
Okay,
I'm standing by my pick.
Dear.
I am going 30-28. And if Brady can get to 30 against this defense, I'm going to be in awe. I'm usually in awe on Monday, but this is going to be like bow down, like genuflect.
Skip, I gave him 32.
Okay, I don't know how you could give him 32 with no AB. Little Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson is a second-year kid. They're all pretty good, but they're not Antonio Brown. I told you that I was going to base my whole prediction on AB having his first breakout game of this season because he
had it against the Cowboys.
Okay, who did?
AB.
No, he did not.
Did you not
He didn't kill him?
Skip, he had 100 and something yards and a touchdown.